Topic 1.4 Columbian Exchange, Spanish Exploration and Conquest. In 1491, the world was in many of its aspects and characteristics a minimum of two worlds, the New World of the Americas and the Old World consisting of Eurasia and Africa. Columbus brought them together, and almost immediately and continually ever since, we have had an exchange. Alfred W. Crosby, Historian and Geographer, 2011. Learning objective: explain causes of the Columbian Exchange and its effects on Europe and the Americas during the period after 1492. Columbus's purpose in sailing westward in the 1490s was to find a sea route to the lucrative trade with Asia, which had been limited by a long and dangerous land route. The eventual impact of what Columbus found was far greater importance. Christopher Columbus. As mentioned in the previous topic 1.3, changing economic, political, and social conditions in Europe combined to support new efforts to expand. Exploration across the seas was specifically supported by the improvement in shipbuilding and in navigation with better compasses and map-making. These factors all helped shape the ambition of many to explore. Plans to reach Asia. One of these explorers was from the Italian city of Genoa, Christopher Columbus. He spent 8 years seeking financial support for his plan to sail west from Europe to the Indies. Finally, in 1492, he succeeded in winning the backing of Isabella and Ferdinand. The two Spanish monarchs were then at the height of their power, having just defeated the Moors in Granada. They agreed to outfit 3 ships and to make Columbus governor, admiral, and viceroy of all the land that he would claim for Spain. After sailing from the Canary Islands on September 6, Columbus landed on an island in the Bahamas on October 12th. His success in reaching land on the other side of the ocean brought him a burst of glory in Spain, but 3 subsequent voyages across the Atlantic were disappointing. He found little gold, few spices, and no simple path to China and India. The Columbian Exchange. Europeans and the original inhabitants of the Americas had developed vastly different cultures over the millennia. The contact between them resulted in the Columbian Exchange, a transfer of plants, animals, and germs from one side of the Atlantic to the other for the first time. These exchanges, biological and cultural, permanently changed the entire world. Never again would people live in isolation from the other hemisphere. Europeans learned about many new plants and food, including beans, corn, sweet and white potatoes, tomatoes, and tobacco. These food items transformed the diet of people throughout Eurasia and touched off rapid population growth in regions from Ireland to West Africa to eastern China. Europeans also contracted a new disease, syphilis. People in the Americas learned about sugarcane, blue grasses, pigs, and horses, as well as new technologies such as wheel, iron implements, and guns. But while the Columbian Exchange led to population growth in Europe, Africa, and Asia, it had the opposite effect in the Americas. Native Americans had no immunity to the germs and the diseases brought by Europeans, such as smallpox and measles. As a result, the native population declined rapidly in the first century after contact. In Mexico, the native population declined from around 22 million in 1492 to around 4 million by the mid-16th century. The rise of capitalism. In Europe, population growth and access to new resources encouraged trade, which led to economic, political, and social changes. The medieval system of feudalism, a system in which monarchs granted land to nobles in exchange for military service, declined. In its place rose capitalism, an economic system in which control of capital, money, and machinery became more important than the control of land. As trade increased, commerce became increasingly important, and political powers shifted from large landowners to wealthy merchants. One reason trade increased was that Europeans were eager to gain access to the riches of the Americas, Africa, and Asia. A single successful trade expedition could make the individual who financed a voyage very wealthy. However, ocean voyages were expensive and dangerous. One bad storm could destroy all the ships in an expedition. To finance trade voyages more safely, Europeans developed a new type of enterprise, the joint stock company, a business owned by a large number of investors. If a voyage failed, investors lost only what they have invested. By reducing individual risk, joint stock companies encouraged investment, thereby promoting economic growth.